What's going on, guys? This video I'm going to try and break up into sections, make it a little easier to follow, because I'm going to try and go over a few different things. So first thing is the last video with the last track day. So ever since I've gone fuel tech and put the bigger slicks on the car, I've kind of had issues getting back to where I was with that 11.5. On top of that, I've also been having an issue with shifting. So the issue with swapping tires and swapping the ECU is more so just getting more comfortable with the car again, because with the old setup I had spent a lot of time just dialing it in and getting it to where it worked. So going from a 7.5-inch wide slick to a 9-inch slick with a lot more sidewall changed the way the car launched. Before, I could launch the car at like 56, 5700, and it was pretty consistent. Now with the bigger tires, it needs a lot more RPM and a lot more boost on the two-step in order to launch effectively, because it's a lot more tire, so it takes more to break the tire loose. That's the point. So basically I've just been kind of ramping that up and getting that figured out. I've also had Carlos from Magma Tuning help me with setting up the time-based launch control. And so we've been getting that dialed in. And that's basically what we did last night, was we kind of got that dialed in more and more. We went from like a 1.7 to 60 foot down to like a 1.6, like 1.65 60 foot, or 1.67 or something like that. So that's getting, that's getting there. And it's going to take a few more trips to get that dialed in, I'm only going maybe once a week, once a month, and I'm only getting like 4 runs in each time, so I'm really not getting enough seat time in to really make big steps very quickly. So anyways, we're getting that figured out. I need to get the car on the dyno to figure out where it's making power. I have a feeling, since I have the BP4W head and cams, the car's making it. The power band has shifted from a mid-range high-end to a high-end, ultra high-end, because we kind of experimented with raising the rev limiter too, and that gained some pretty substantial mile an hour just by doing that. But anyways, I'll get into that later. Anyway, so the other issue I had, other than just trying to figure out a new setup, was that I could not find third gear to save my life. It wasn't that I was missing it, it was just that every time I would try and put the thing in the gear, it felt like I was hitting like a spongy wall or something. It was just like bouncing off of where third gear should have been, and it just would not go in until RPM dropped really low, and then it would finally clunk in. Determined it was a stretch cable. I have definitive proof that that's what it was. So yeah, this is the cable, and you can see the ridges there. Those are all zip ties, and that basically goes the whole way up there, and then I just wrapped it in tape just so that the zip ties wouldn't move. Because the first time I wrapped it in zip ties and took it for a drive, I noticed that as I shifted, the cable would still expand a little bit, and then the ties would slide up and down the cable, and they'd end up in different places. So I went ahead and wrapped the whole thing in electrical tape to keep the zip ties from moving. So the other thing I did was I got a new shifter. So this is a K-tuned knockoff shifter. It's from eBay, about a quarter the price of an actual K-tuned shifter. The reason why I bought the eBay one was I wasn't sure it was going to work. I didn't want to spend $400 on a actual K-tuned shifter on a whim, I hope it works. So I bought an eBay one for the sake of experimenting, and it actually works pretty close. The only thing I had to do was extend out the front of the shifter to move this cable mount back a little bit, because the cable mount is normally about here, and with it here, the cable was too long, so I had to move it back so that the cable would be centered, so that the shifter would be centered. So luckily I have access to a machine shop, so I was able to just machine these little blocks out pretty easily, and that was that. It worked. So that was the other issue, was the cable. So with the cable and the shifter, I think it solved the problem. I'm still going to replace that cable. So I had this cable that was supposed to replace it, but it's unfortunately too short. So the other thing that I bought off eBay was a set of K-Tune knockoff cables, but they're for a K-series, they're for a RSX, and so they didn't have any of the right fittings and stuff on it, so I had to do some custom fittings and extend some stuff, and that's kind of a work in progress. I think I can make them work, but if they don't work, then I'm only out of $100 instead of $400, and whatever. But I think they'll work. That's a whole other video. I'll do a whole other video on the shifter and the cables and that whole experiment. Yeah, so anyways, that's all the excuses. So anyways, last night I went to the track, met up with Carlos. He helped me with some tuning issues and stuff like that, and we were making pretty good progress. And then, well, I'll just let you watch the videos. Felt spicy. So yeah, this is just me doing a little voiceover. You might notice the car's idling kind of high and there's a loud hissing sound. So yeah, at this point I'm just searching for vacuum leaks. Ah, found it. At this point, I realized the idle valve had fallen off the throttle body. Alright, so these are slips. So, runs 1 through 4. I unfortunately did not record the third run because I forgot to turn on the camera. I also did not log the third run because I forgot to turn on the data logger. But so first run, 11.9, 121, 176 60 foot. The 1,000 foot times on all these slips are wrong because they're having a sensor issue, which is super reassuring. But anyway, so just ignore those 1,000 foot numbers because they don't make any sense. If I was really doing the 1,000 foot at 7 seconds, I'd be running like 8s in the freaking quarter. So, anyways, first run, like I said, yeah, and also ignore the RT times because I wasn't really trying to work the tree. I was just working on getting off the line efficiently. So yeah, first run, this was like on 29 psi. Fairly decent, not a great launch. It kind of got out and bogged. Second run, well, not didn't really bog, but anyways, so second run, 171, 60 foot, 11.8, 121. I think the only difference between this run and this run was that I stayed in it a little bit longer as far as the launch. So then run 3, which was the best run. This is where we turned her up, and yeah. So 169, 60 foot, 99 in the eighth, 124 in the quarter, and 11.6 ET. And we got the fourth and final run. This is where the idle valve fell off the car. I'm guessing the idle valve probably fell off on the 2-step because this run and this run were identical settings, and the trap was quite a bit lower, and the 8th mile was a little bit lower. Everything was a little bit lower, so I mean, it was doing pretty decent. I think it was making some steam because if you look at that 60 foot, you know, and then you look at the 330, I mean, so this one, I think, probably got out a little bit better than this one did. But then it all kind of went downhill from there, and we ended up with a 11.7, which isn't bad, 11.7 with a massive boost leak. But yeah, it was tuned for like 33, 34 psi, and I only saw like 29, so that's not horrible, considering the issue. So, alright, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at the logs from each run. Well, all the logs except for the best run was run 3. Because I forgot to data log that one. So what we're using, when I say we, I mean Carlos, basically, because I don't know anything about it. I understand the concept of it, but I'm not exactly sure on how to tune it. What I think we need to do is make it ramp a little quicker. But anyway, so the way this traction control works is not a active traction control. It's a time-based, predetermined ignition cut. So basically, we have it. You can kind of calculate what wheel speed you should have to accelerate a given amount. So what you do is you set a rev limiter that mimics that RPM ramp of accelerating, of like your maximum acceleration that should be capable of the car. So the car's spinning, basically. The car's, I mean, the wheels are basically spinning at this point, but we're using a artificial rev limiter to limit how much the wheels can spin. So And this down here is the time-based ignition cut. So this is how much the car is, or the ECU is limiting timing to try and maintain this timing ramp. And I can actually show you what the time-based, what it looks like. So basically what we have here is basically this is a pre-programmed rev limit across time. So from T0, basically what we have here is we have, when I say time-based, it means this happens. So after you launch, from T0 to 1.5 seconds, this is what this is. So this is 0 seconds, this is 1.5 seconds. So what's happening here is this is the rev limit that we have set here. So that's all it is. It's pretty simple, but you just have to figure out like what that ramp should look like. But anyways, we could probably make that ramp a little more aggressive. You can see the car is accelerating evenly. You can actually see the RPM kind of bounce as it's, you know, fighting the limiter there. So as I was saying earlier, my issue with this is that I'm used to doing it the old-fashioned way, where you just kind of do it by feel, and you feel the car stop accelerating, or you feel it, you hear the limiter and stuff like that, and my brain just goes shift, shift, shift. And so I usually end up shifting. So you can see right here, this is RPM. This green line is RPM. This purple line is throttle positioning sensor. So you can see these dips. This is where I come off throttle. And this is boost, this purple or red line. So you see two-step, come off two-step, car begins to move. Time-based ignition cut kicks in. We are riding that artificial rev limiter there, and then I shift early. I shift at 7,000 RPM, rev limiter set for 7,700. So here is the theoretical or the estimated 60-foot mark, and as far as time goes, like I said, I've entered the time slip into the software, and it overlays that over the run. So you can see I short shift, and if I had rode that out to 75, it probably would have made that 60-foot like substantial. It could have been a low 1.6 60-foot if I had rode that out longer. So either the issue is we need to make that rev limiter shorter, because I think, yeah, so either make that rev limiter shorter or make it ramp steeper. But anyway, so I short shift, I shift at 75, and that makes me land at 4,200 in second gear. And so you can see this purple line, or this red line here, which is boost, puts me at 14 PSI. Car should be on 30 PSI. So 4,000, I don't see full boost in second gear until about 2,000 RPM later, essentially. So this is all wasted potential right here. This whole gap right here. If we could be full boost from here to here, this would make this 330 like a mid 4, you know. So anyways, from there, I mean, the rest of the run is pretty decent. So we're in third gear, but this is the other issue we have here. Like I said, if you look at boost here, you see boost ramps in really, really slow at the beginning of each gear. So what I need to do, my boost control is basically just a generic duty table. It's just a RPM duty table. Every single gear, boost doesn't kick in until about 5,800, you know, or full boost. I mean, we're dropping all the way down. I mean, that's in between a shift there, so that's not a huge deal. That's that low. It's only like 5 PSI. God, it's like nothing right there. It's like 5 PSI right there. But when I get into gear and I start accelerating, you know, 4,900, we're only at 13 PSI. And like I said, so there's a 13. So what I need to do is from 4,900 to about 6,000, maybe like 5,500, you know, I need to add a lot more duty. So we can look at can add our generic duty table here. So this is the this right here is the duty table that's controlling the boost control solenoid. So what I need to do is basically from here to here, I need to just ramp this up, like just probably just, I mean, honestly, at like 4,000, 5,000, I could probably have like 80% duty in there or something. I mean, it really needs a lot more to ramp that in. And it's the same thing in fourth gear, where we look here. I mean, boost comes in a little bit sooner. Actually, no, it's about the same. Where it is, 56. So yeah, we don't see full boost till about 48. We about 52. So yeah, probably about 5,000 RPM. What I need to do is just really crank up that boost duty so that that turbo spools a lot harder at the beginning of each gear. So with all that said, you know, I'm disappointed that I'm not like closer to a 10 than I should be, but looking at these logs, it tells me that there's a lot of potential left in the car, you know, as far as fixing the way the boost comes in at the beginning of each gear. I mean, especially second gear, that is a huge thing. If I can drop that 330, like every 10th on the small end is usually 2/10 on the big end. So I mean, if I can drop quite a bit off of there, that'll make the overall ET quite a bit lower. So this is run 2, same kind of thing. Every single run I did the exact same thing, because even though I tell myself keep my foot in it, same thing. I rev it out to about 7,100. And then I shift because it feels like I should shift. I land at like 4,000, 4,800. Practically no boost, and then same kind of thing. And then we can see the same thing with the boost ramping in kind of slow at the beginning of each gear. Same deal. The fourth run, this is where it was kind of turned up. What we did here, you notice that the boost looks a little different. We changed the modulation frequency on the boost control solenoid. So originally it was at 35 hertz, and we changed it to 30 hertz, and that gave us a little more finite control, you know, so we get more steady kind of looking boost ramp. Here I tried ramping the duty up a little bit more, but I didn't do it nearly enough because I didn't want it to overboost. You know, I didn't do it much at all, honestly. Not where it needed to be. Yeah, it did nothing. Not all where it needed to be, so that's why that didn't work. But anyways, this was the run where the boost, or where the idle valve fell off the car. How about you chill there, Haas? But yeah, same kind of thing. Boost comes in. This is around 30. I mean, it came in pretty good. Second gear, 32 psi second gear. And then I think around here is where the idle valve let go, because boost kind of went from like 32 to like 30, and in fourth gear it was like 29, and just kind of went down there, and then got to the end of the run and had that really high idle, where it's just like revving super high for no reason. Well, it's not for no reason, it's because the idle valve fell off the throttle body. But anyways, like I was saying, I think there's a lot of potential if I can just fix this front half. I think I can make the launch a little better, because you know, we're launching at 6,000. RPM is dropping all the way down to 4,000 when I let the clutch out. Ideally, what you want to see is when you let the clutch out, you don't want to see this dip. What you want to see is two-step and just straight across and ramp up. That would be the ideal situation. So probably what I need to do is leave on a little bit more boost off the two-step, because we're only at 12 psi. Oh, we're at 20 psi. We're up there. So maybe a little more RPM, I don't know. You notice the pedal position here. I'm not full throttle leaving the two-step, so that might be part of the issue. If I was full throttle leaving the two-step, maybe this would actually just go right across. So anyways, I think I could get that 1.7, 1.69, 60 foot down to like a 1.5 if I can stop being a wuss and keep my foot in it. And then if I can fix the boost ramping in really slow issue here in second gear and every other gear, I think this, like I said, the best I did last night was a 11.6. I think with these issues fixed, just ramping that boost in smoother and riding out first gear, I think that 11.6 could easily be a 11.3, 11.2. Maybe even better, I don't know. So I'm optimistic. That's the thing, is that I'm not running what I think I should be running, but looking at the logs, like I said, there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of room for improvement. And this is why we data log, you know. AFRs look great. So this AFR target is a solid line, and the dark blue line is the actual AFR. So with like almost no correction, so we're dead nuts on. I mean, well, we're a little off, but so that's pretty much it. I'm gonna go ahead and fix the idle valve. Awesome. So yeah, that's basically the gist of it. Just paraphrase the too long didn't read or didn't watch, whatever version it is. There's room for improvement. Most of the issues are user error. It's not something wrong with the car. It's just I'm just doing stupid stuff that I shouldn't be doing. But that's only stuff that's going to get better with more seat time. I really haven't had, I mean, we're talking maybe 10 passes total, maybe 12, 14 passes since I got the bigger slicks and the new ECU. So the more I run it, the faster it's going to get. There's, like, looking at the logs, there's so much room for improvement, especially if I can improve that boost ramp. If I can get it to have boost, like, all the way through every single gear, that little bit, you know, that little bit makes a big difference, especially after the launch. That, like, second gear looks freaking horrendous, you know. So if we can figure that out, I think it'll improve quite a bit. I think just not short shifting first. If I can stop spitting on myself. So just by not short shifting first and actually landing in a higher RPM in second, and adding a little more boost duty so that the turbo just lights off just like that, that will exponentially improve that time. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna go ahead and replace my idle valve that has fallen off the car. If you look down, I zip tied it on so it didn't fall off while I was driving home. But yeah, it's down there just kind of wiggling around. The bolts that hold it in just rattled out, and I think the only thing that was holding it in place was RTV. And when we turned it up, she just kind of popped off. So yeah, go ahead and fix that and give her a wash, because one of the big issues with running the really wide slicks that stick out past the tire is you get all this lovely VHT and rubber that just gets slung all over the car, and not just the side of the car, but I mean everywhere, all over the car, all over the hood. I mean, the paint's not great or anything, but yeah, it's just everywhere. It's amazing how filthy the car gets after putting those bigger tires on it. But that'll be it for now. Till next time. Like I said, next video will probably be addressing the shifter and new shift linkage and all that stuff, but I don't know when that's going to come out. That's going to be a whole other thing. So yeah, I got the idle, or I got the throttle body off. You can see how that'd be a a bit of a problem, you know, having that guy kind of, yeah. So apparently, I mean, God, every bolt's loose. Every single bolt just came loose. I shook loose. I guess I need to put Loctite on it to make sure that it doesn't come out again. But anyways, yeah, that would make a bit of a boost leak, you know, while you're cruising down the road. So Loctite your bolts, people.